When Mr. and Mrs. Dursley woke up on the dull grey Tuesday our story starts, there was nothing about the cloudy sky outside to suggest that strange and mysterious things would soon be happening all over the country. Mr. Dursley hummed as he picked out his most boring tie for work, and Mrs. Dursley gossiped away happily as she wrestled a screaming Dudley into his high chair. None of them noticed a large tawny owl flutter past the window. So here again we get to know their daily routines. We get a glimpse of how much of a menace Dudley actually is, even in his really young years. And we see how they just want to be left alone by anything strange. At 8:30, Mr. Dursley picked up his briefcase, pecked Mrs. Dursley on the cheek and tried to kiss Dudley goodbye, but missed because Dudley was now having a tantrum and throwing his cereal at the walls. Little Tyke chortled Mr. Dursley as he left the house. He got into his car and backed out of number 4's drive. Here we can really see how annoying Dudley is and how the Dursleys are prepared to ignore it every single time. And I think 8:30 is the most Dursley-ish time to leave a house, if you ask me. It was on the corner of the street that he noticed the first sign of something peculiar. A cat reading a map. For a second Mr. Dursley didn't realize what he had seen. Then he jerked his head around to look again. There was a tabby cat standing on the corner of Privet Drive, but there wasn't a map in sight. What could he have been thinking of? It must have been a trick of the light. Mr. Dursley blinked and stared at the cat. It stared back. As Mr. Dursley drove around the corner and up the road, he watched the cat in his mirror. It was now reading the sign that said Privet Drive. No, looking at the sign. Cats couldn't read maps or signs. Mr. Dursley gave himself a little shake and put the cat out of his mind. As he drove towards town, he thought of nothing except a large order of drills he was hoping to get that day. Here we can see how great the ability of the Dursleys is to detect something that's out of the ordinary, but we can also see how great their ability is to shake these things off and act like nothing has happened. And of course we get our first glimpse at Professor McGonagall.